on this side.
Okay.
All right. So this is my friend Valerie Galbraith. Just a cute little thing about her. She's been married for 38 years. She's a mom of 5 and a grandma of 5.5. And she's been doing hair for seniors for 5 years now. She works at the Covington and has all the cute little folks that come in. She's got a little salon in there, and it's great with them. She's amazing. You guys will really enjoy her. She is the soprano to my alto. We sing together. She's a soprano. I'm the alto. But she just has lots of life experience, has had, has tremendous empathy and compassion for people, and is amazing. And I asked her to come today because we actually had a client that said, maybe you could have an in-service on doing old lady hair. And so, because it's different, white hair, gray hair, it behaves differently than, other colors. So anyway, so that's why I invited her to come here to give tricks and tips and whatever else she's going to be willing to share with us. So welcome to Valerie.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So we end at 12:30, right?
You got like
about 12 after.
Yeah. So you can, 40 minutes, what you've got, but leave time for questions. So.
Okay. So I thought I'd start off by asking a question. Do you know why doing senior hair would be important? Why that would even be something that would be a need?
Because it's tremendous for their morale, the way they feel.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was at Covington during COVID. And these poor people, they shut it down. So my salon was shut down for about 4 months. But these poor people, the residents, were in their rooms shut down for about 1.5 years. So that means no family. The only people they saw in their rooms were the people bringing them their food or bringing their meds or the person cleaning their room. That was it. And so the cute little families, the ones that had windows that they could see their families, they'd come and I'd see little signs, "We love you, Grandma," or whatever, which was awesome. But there's some depression that goes on when you are shut into your home and you can't get out. And so they realized that and decided that maybe they should find a loophole in the state, for someone to come and do their hair. So they brought me back and I had to robe up in that yellow thing and a face mask with the shield, and they said gloves, but that's actually kind of dangerous with a hot thing and plastic on your hands. But so I didn't do that, but lots of hand sanitizer and hand washing. Anyway, it really made a difference because there was somebody that they could talk to, and because I was in there for about an hour, and so it really makes a difference with their morale. So, okay, one of the things, so I'm sure you know this. So do you do the showering? Do you shower them? You do. So to remove the hearing aids, because that's an expensive oopsie-daisy to get that wet. Usually when you're going to do hair, senior hair, I rarely use hair conditioner unless it's colored or you can see this kind of damaged. This is one of my mannequins from school. I named her Drusilla. I always name my mannequins after the evil stepsisters on Cinderella because I thought I was going to be kind of mean to her. Anyway, so the other thing is, if you're using a curling iron, check, hopefully, do you take your own curling iron? Do you just use what they have there? Usually what they have. Hopefully, if they have a curling iron, it has a temperature gauge because it's super easy to burn white or gray hair and it turns yellow. And these ladies are, oh, it's still good. Just making sure they're very proud of their white hair, right? Right? I love my white hair. Not all of it's white yet. I'm not as blessed. But it can burn super easy. So check the temperature. Usually some of the cheaper curling irons don't have a temperature gauge, and I have seen hair black and burnt off just from barely using it. So hopefully they have one that has the temperature gauge on it. So I set mine usually to 380, but if it's a white and you don't want to yellow it, I turn it down to like 330. You may need to hold it there a little longer. Okay, so if you've noticed that your lovely lady, hair has turned some yellow, purple shampoo. Just like the color wheel, purple and yellow are opposite. They work together to neutralize each other. So that's what purple shampoo is for. It's our best friend, right? You've never used it. You will love purple. Don't leave it on too long. You don't want to look like the blue-haired lady. You know, you want the white. So yeah, if ever you see it's kind of yellowing, you want to use purple shampoo on them if they have it. If not, I don't know. Do you ever take your own supplies ever? No, you just use what they have. Maybe suggest to the family they get some purple shampoo. Any purple shampoo is great. All right, so here's how for senior hair. Super important. So I'll turn Drusilla sideways. Okay, so here's a little phenomenon that once you start pulling gently on someone's hair, what happens? Fall asleep. They fall asleep. But if they happen to stay awake, it's because there's so many nerve endings in the scalp. And to have somebody just kind of gently pulling on your hair, it has that calming effect, and it just, you know, so I don't know, depending. Don't what?
I said, don't be doing that before you curl.
You never know. Yeah, you've got to be easy, because a lot of times my ladies are, you know, down like this, or if they start to lean this way, you just got to be somewhat creative. Oh, I'm just going to move your head this way. I'm going to just move, you know, and then, you know, it's okay if they sleep, right? Yeah.
Just as a point of observation, I work at the center as well, where we have clients come to us and stay for the day. And we have a few clients that can get pretty agitated. And this one lady in particular, we just start kind of playing with her hair, and she calms right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you've got an agitated
there you go.
person, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. In extended care, it used to be called memory care, but now it's extended care. They have more people that just need extra help, not necessarily memory issues. Yeah, they braid their hair in all sorts of fancy braids. And I'm like, oh, you should figure out how to do that. But also, if you have a baby doll, I don't know what it is about baby dolls, but holding a baby, even the men, just calms right down. So I just thought I'd do a couple curls and show you kind of how to do it, because senior skin is super sensitive and you can burn it super easy. First of all, after it's shampooed, you want to make sure it's really dry. I don't know if you saw that YouTube video of that girl that was trying to demonstrate how to curl her hair. Then sorry, I shouldn't laugh before I tell you about it. But it's really funny. So she curls her hair and she leaves it in there, and you can see the steam, and all of a sudden she pulls it off and her hair is on the curling iron. I think they had her on one of the late night talk shows, and they actually taught her how to do her hair. It was because it was wet. Her hair was wet, and she had the temperature up way too high, and she really didn't know what she was doing, but she burned her hair right off. So make sure it's totally dry before you start curling it. And depending on how they wear their hair, I'm sure you can see like little pictures around their house of how they like their hair. If they want their bangs down, it just helps them to feel like themselves. If you want to do it differently, I have found, even though I have a different opinion that might look better, especially if they're thinning up here, they still want it styled the way they're used to having it styled, because that makes them feel like themselves, you know. So anyway, however they like it. So here's, you're just gonna, it takes a little bit of practice, but when you pull the curling iron up, this keeps you from burning their scalp. So that is best. You can count to 10. Who knows how many chemical procedures I did on this lovely, who knows what, if her hair will curl or not. But, so I'll do a couple curls to show you. Can you see kind of how is this, can everybody see how this is going? So just count to, you know, 10. This is actually really big curling iron. The smaller the curling iron, obviously the smaller the curls, depending on how they like their hair. Now, the key is after, what's going to help them, because a lot of them like their hair to stay in for a whole week. So it's the back combing. So I'll show you how to do back combing after I get a couple of curls in. So that's kind of a debate depending on who you talk to. I like to use a little bit of hairspray after I've curled it, just to give it kind of rough up the hair a little bit. So I have something to back comb, because you'll come across really fine hair, and you may have to get a little bit creative with how to, because we start to thin and the scalp starts to show. And so back combing also makes close to the scalp look like they have more hair, and that helps them to feel better about themselves too. So here is back combing. So I do it on the underneath part. You kind of come in and do like a little arc like that. And you just want to kind of, can you all see how this is? You want it to look like that. And they may panic at first. Sometimes I've joked with them about, oh, we're just going to leave it like that. I think it looks great. But they know me by now that I'm teasing, because sometimes after I put the mousse, if they have mousse, that's great. If they like to put in before you blow it dry, the mousse or gel, because that helps the hairstyles to stay in. So when I am styling, then this is what I do, is I lock. This is a great comb to have. So this is a back combing comb. You can get them at Sally's. You lock in the back combing and then smooth the ends over. And I start, so when I start back combing, I start at the top and back comb the whole hair down. And then when I'm going to smooth it, start from the bottom, because then the next layer comes on top of it. And you just kind of smooth it down. And you don't want them to look like a rat's nest or a rat just made its home in their hair. You want to try to smooth it down a little bit, but you're still preserving the back combing that's at the top, at the root, so that it's looking a little bit, gives them a little bit more body. And then we're going to lock in that back combing there and just try to smooth. And the more that is on top, I smooth a little bit more, just because you just don't want them to look like, you know, you just made a frizzy mess on their head, which this side looks like that's what I did. And then lots of hairspray when you're all done. So one of the things, the other phenomenon, that word, happens when you're doing someone's hair is if they're not falling asleep, their mouths open up and they talk. So I wanted to cover that a little bit. as you're styling someone's hair or you're visiting with them, what is a rule of thumb? Who can tell me something you probably shouldn't talk about?
Politics.
Thank you.
Religion.
Yeah. Sometimes they'll bring it up, which is hilarious. And the best way to address that is you go, oh, that's interesting. You don't have to agree, because if you disagree with their opinions on politics, religion, whatever, it's going to create contention right away, right? And so the best way is to say, oh, that's an interesting observation, or I never thought about it that way, or, you know, something like that. Because you want them to feel comfortable. It's not about you. It's about them feeling comfortable, feeling pampered, feeling like themselves. Okay, so what else? What I used to talk about my mom. I probably will. My mom just passed away a couple of weeks ago. My mom started with dementia, and some of the things she did were quite hilarious. And since she was the same age group as the people that I'm doing their hair, they found her antics quite entertaining. And since it wasn't anybody they knew, you know, they said, so what did your mom do this week? You know, and it was kind of a fun thing. But if it was something drama related, like my daughter that is divorced and the drama, not the best topic to be talking about is our personal dramas that are going on in our own lives. So can you tell me something that's kind of safe ground maybe to talk about while you're doing hair, or?
Their family, their family and children.
Yes, yes. They love their families. They love to talk about their kids, their grandkids, and what they're doing. What if they didn't have any children, or they never married? Sometimes that's a sensitive topic, isn't it? When you find out that they're kind of alone. They have siblings though, right? Hopefully. What if they don't have siblings? That's kind of rare, but it does happen, you know. What do you think? You have an idea? I think you're thinking.
Not about that, but I always think it's safer to ask about like things that they did when they were younger, or hobbies that they like, or things that they like to do now.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's safer, because you know that they're obviously going to be doing something.
Yes.
With their time.
Yes. Yes. And even if they have dementia, it's interesting the things they can remember and they love to talk about, which you may hear that same story 5 times in 15 minutes. It's okay. Because to them, you know, it's the first time they've told you. You know, every once in a while, like with my mom, I would fill in the gap when she got the story wrong. When I go, well, isn't it this? And she goes, oh yeah. She never caught on. So there's a delicate way to do that with them, right? Because they do love to talk about what happened, or if it's something. A lot of times here, we forgot the hairspray. Sorry, hopefully that doesn't make everybody start coughing. So I think it's a safe bet to talk about their family. Yes, a lot of that is very safe. Talk about, you're in their homes, right? Which is awesome, because there'll be a picture that you can ask them about and have them looking at the picture while you do their hair, and they can tell you about what happened in the picture. Their lives are fascinating. I did one lady, actually, she's 100 now, and I just gave her a perm, and her husband was, when he was a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, he was called to serve in Germany, and he and his companion were actually on a wall watching as Hitler and his troops marched in. And she's telling me about this, and she's like, oh yeah, they were taking pictures of Hitler. And she was, shortly after that, the church pulled him out of Germany. And I said, yeah, that was a good call. But the things they can teach us about, you know, the things they've lived through is just absolutely fascinating. The things they have seen, the things that they've, you know, even some of the trials they've been through have and how they got through that is just so educating to us, and how we can even apply that to our lives. Let me see if I have missed something here. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions? Okay.
Sorry,
You're fine.
I had a question about using the comb
Okay.
as a barrier. Have you ever had a comb melt?
No, these combs are, you got to use, well, hopefully. They're combs. These are solid. These are actually hair styling combs. They do not melt. But you can check it and say, oh, let's use a different comb. Oh, this one's not working so great. I haven't, but I buy these combs at Sally's. They're made for their heat. There's also actually, like, they come with a little ruler.
Yeah.
So I can check how much I've cut off their hair.
To do the side, do you start the girls from top to bottom or
Yeah.
from front to back?
Yeah, so usually the rule of thumb is, so I start in the front. So if I curl the bangs, curl them towards, or sometimes I save the bangs for last just because I'm not sure which direction they want it. But you want to come this way, down the middle, and from this way, down. It just depends on their style. I have curled bangs. Instead of bringing them forward, starting at the side and curling them to one side, depending on if they like their booms, their bangs. If they want a little more casual bang in the front, or they just want to swoop it to the side, sometimes it's better just to, it looks like she has a permanent part in the middle. But they also may ask you if they wear wigs. Oh, I guess you're not real there. It's a work. It's such a habit. I did my mom's hair for her casket, and I was still using the comb. And I'm like, and covering her eyes when I sprayed the hairspray, and I was like, I guess it doesn't matter at this point. I was like, okay, just force a habit. But anyway, so wigs are another thing. If they want their wig washed, you need to know if it's synthetic hair or real hair. Real hair, you can use regular shampoo and definitely conditioner, but don't get it near the cap. That's where all the knots are tied, and conditioner can untie those knots. And the real hair wigs are very expensive, and that would be another expensive oopsie daisy. And you can style a real hair wig just like regular hair. Synthetic hair, you can't use anything hot on it. No hot. And they have special shampoo, and you would just kind of hold it upside down, kind of get it wet, use that, and just kind of, and put it, if they've bought a wig, they have you've seen those faceless thingies that the wigs, and just kind of let air dry. You don't want to use any heat on that because it'll melt. So yeah. But if they bought the wig, they should have the special wig shampoo for it. Usually the wig seller people, I don't know what they're called, wig sellers, they usually sell them all the products and stuff that go with it. But I had a lady with real hair wig that I just did. She wanted it to look like Farrah Fawcett. I'm like, well, that's fortunate. I did live through the 80s and the 70s. I know what a Farrah Fawcett hairstyle looks like. But yeah, so coming down the side, you would start here. And these mannequins are all real hair. Think of all the people that gave up their hair for us poor cosmetology students to just damage them. But anyway, so the sides you would come down and just kind of to the back. It really depends on what their hair is gonna kind of looking. I'm not gonna look at names. I'm just looking at some of the people that are your clients. And it looks like a lot of them, it would be pretty similar where you would be doing curling down the sides. Some of them, let's see, I'm not seeing a whole lot of bangs. Oh, the one with the dark hair
on the right, she has bangs. She's got really pretty hair. So she may want her bangs curled.
That isn't formal.
Is it old? Okay.
There are only
That's
two that are
probably-
still
And
alive.
That's probably
that was a
wise. Yeah, I was gonna say, that's probably wise, so it's not updated people. But anyway, and bangs coming forward, definitely. I had a lady that was in memory extended care, and she would fall asleep immediately, which I found out from her family that she actually would fall asleep driving when they were kids. So on the way to the mall, she would pull over and take a nap. And then when she woke up, they'd continue their drive. So apparently her falling asleep was, anyway, so I was curling her bangs, and I don't know what dream she would have, but all of a sudden she would jerk up and hit my, it was before I had a chance to put the comb there. And because her skin was so fragile, yeah, it was a bad burn. It just made me sick. And she also, I had my, you've seen the little holders on the side of the desk that hold the curling iron. I had my curling iron there, and she woke up. Oh, I don't know what dream she was having, but she would always wake up so then I went to doing her hair and curlers. I'm like, I can't handle this. You're freaking me out too much. So I started doing her hair and curlers under the hair dryer, which she promptly fell asleep with her head against the dryer. And I was like, whatever. You have to adapt and adjust according to your client and what, they're doing. Any other questions? Is this kind of clear, or does everybody know how to use a curling iron? Maybe we should have started with that, because today I know a lot of people use flat irons instead of curling irons to get the curls, which I grew up with a curling iron, and so to use a flat iron to get a curl, I
think most of our clients
so yeah, they would only have the curling iron. So everybody here good with a curling iron? You've used one? You want to practice on a mannequin?
As long as it's not one of those ones that twist with you.
Oh no, those, they said those are supposed to be for hairstylists that do it a lot to give us, because you can get carpal tunnel by constant use. But they usually don't have the tip on the end, and I kept forgetting and burning my fingers. So I'm not sure I have fingerprints anymore, but, I gave up on that. I said, my wrists are just gonna have to suffer because my fingers are suffering more. So does anyone want to come up and try? It will take a little bit of practice to get the comb under, but if you can get used to having both of them in your hand, and just so that you don't have to keep putting one down and picking it up, it saves you a ton of time to try to keep them both in your hand. It's not really curling.
What I have a problem with is that you were starting at the top and then you go down. And I have a hard time getting that top out of the way so I can get to the next one down.
Okay, good question. Because what you can do is use maybe I don't know, those little metal clips, the little guys. You just have to be careful, like this. I think these are called alligator clips. So as you're going, you can kind of clip it out of your way. You just don't want a huge clip, because if it's hot, it will form in that shape. So here's a little science lesson. Each little hair has peptides bonds on either side of it. So in order to change the shape of hair, you have to break those bonds. And the only way to do that is either with heat or chemical, like a perm. The chemicals break up that bond, the waving lotion, and then
After you rinse that out, you put the neutralizer, which reforms those bonds in the curl shape. And so that's why it's called a permanent, because it's permanent. But if you're using heat to change the shape of hair, it only lasts until it gets wet. So if the hair is still hot, it will be in that shape. So that's why you have to just be careful with where you place your clip. Otherwise, you're going to go, oh, great, now there's a crease across the curl, you know, but sometimes you can hide it with the back combing. There's a lot of little tricks you can do that. So very good question. Yeah, so you can just clip them if you want. Most ladies have clips, I assume. Probably in that grody drawer in the bathroom that has everything in it, along with lots of old hair.
Do bobby pins work?
Bobby pins would work. They're just a lot tighter, and you've got to fumble with it to get it apart.
What I've done is use a small comb and just push that.
You could, if it'll stay. Fine hair, a comb will not stay in it.
When you're back combing it, I mean, I find it usually.
Yeah. You can, you know, if you've back combed enough, it'll hold just about anything. Yeah.
I think that should be mentioned is if ladies are taking too many meds or certain types of meds, the hair won't hold curls or perms or something like that.
Their medicine takes, it changes their hair.
So what can you do about stuff like that to help them to still feel normal and their normal-ish hairstyle?
Product.
Lots of product.
Yep, product like mousse. When I do the ladies at Covington, I use a combination. There used to be a product that had mousse and gel together, but Redken, I'm hoping they're reformulating it, but it's not on the shelf anymore. So I found a mousse and a gel, a styling gel together that I put in their hair first before I blow it dry. And I try to blow it dry in about the shape that I want to curl it. Once again, because if you've blown it like this one was dry with the part right here, there's no way I'm going to change it to be a side part. So I try to blow it dry in basically the way before I curl it that you want it to be. And then you're probably going to need more hairspray. I usually use, after I curl it, I spray a light hairspray on it to give it a little, to kind of give it the texture so that the back combing will stay in. And then after I'm done back combing, I use a heavier hairspray, which they probably have. A lot of them use like Aquanet. Which is an asthma inducer. I have found I have asthma, and it's like, what did you just spray in your hair? Aquanet is like spray gel or spray glue, super glue. I had one lady come in, she had sprayed it so much. It looked like one of those crystal art, you know, that looked like dripped ice on it. And she's like, can you please touch up my hair? And I'm like, no. I can back here where you didn't spray all that, whatever that was. But yeah, so they should have that glued in hairspray at their home. But good point. Thank you for bringing that up. Any other questions? Anything you've run across in doing someone's hair that you're like, now what? Yes.
Hair nets.
Okay. Thank you. A lot of them love, okay, the best thing, because they like to wear something at night to keep their hairstyle in. It should be silk or satin.
But or it's just a hairnet though. I know.
Like they want to wear it like all day.
Experience. No, she would wear it at nighttime, and then she'd wake up with it
flat,
thrown everywhere, and flat, and bobby pins everywhere, and you're like, yeah. She passed away like a couple of years ago. She was 101.
Well, good for her.
Definitely like good hairnets at night, and I just have to be.
Old habits die hard.
Silk would be so much better, but
they're not going to change if they've done it for 100 years,
Yes.
literally. Yeah, you're not gonna change, and
So
you just, you can
that's not
talk
really
to
good
them.
much.
They can, but it sounds like she was a wild sleeper too. If,
That wouldn't surprise me either.
you know, if they're rolling, I had one of my ladies, she was 97 and her hair always looked great, even between her weekly hair appointment. She told me she slept like this. So she didn't want to mess her hair up.
Okay, well, a hairnet at night, not a good idea, but how's the best way to bobby pin a hairnet in? Cause like, that was one thing I struggled with her is. Like,
Bobby pinning a hairnet.
how do you put it, I mean, okay. never
That
mind.
is not something I have actually done.
I mean, I literally would like crisscross these
Yeah.
bobby pins all along.
Probably the
the hairline.
crisscross is a good
And
idea.
it would still
On
come out.
a bobby pin, you know, the bumpy side.
Uh-huh.
The bumpy side's supposed to go toward the scalp.
Towards the scalp.
Yeah, the bumpy side to the scalp. And then, yeah, the crisscrossing so they lock is good. So I think you're probably doing, sounds like she's kind of a wild sleeper.
She was wild, period. I wasn't built to sleep. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah, usually I do have them ask me about the hair scarf.
Yeah, whatever. Sally's have those too, and you can have the family give them whatever if they want that. But yeah,
Or just a silk pillowcase.
yep.
Okay.
Hi.
Hey, are we good?
Anyone have any questions?
Now that I've taken up all the questions back.
I had no idea I could talk that long. Oh, thank you. Seriously, if you have any questions.